The 49ers and Brock Purdy just did what no quarterback has been able to do, no rookie quarterback, rather, has been able to do against Tom Brady. And that is beat Tom Brady. First time ever. You see the thumbnail, 1 of 1. Brock Purdy is special. We're going to talk about it all next. Go Niners. Let's go. All right. Welcome back to Last Second Sports, where we are giving you our take down to the last second. And we are coming off of a major 49er victory, beat down of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And it's never felt so good to live in Tampa. David, how are you doing tonight, my man?
Oh, man, I tell you, brother, my wife's been making Bloody Marys. I got so excited. I shaved my beard off. After it went 35 step, like I got it. So I was like, fuck it. I'm going to the bathroom shaving this beard off. I don't even give a shit. I'm doing it. So like, that's how I'm going to tell you, that's what sports is all about. It's supposed to be exciting. And I've got excitement back and I don't care. Like it's back. And for whatever reason, it's like, I can't deny it. I'm riding this train, baby. BCB.
Absolutely. I love it. People are asking for an injury update on Debo. We're going to talk about it in a little bit, but it does sound, we'll just give you the update of what we know right now, is it sounds like it's an ankle. Doesn't seem to be as serious as what one would think. Now, what that means, not sure. Don't know if that means it's a 4-week, a 6-week, a 3-week. We don't know for sure. And I'm sure that we will eagerly await the update after the game from Kyle Shanahan. So anybody in the chat, if you see it, if we see it, we'll let you know what we hear. But it does sound better than what it initially looked. And especially with him on the cart crying, all that, it looks a lot better. So we'll talk all about it. Okay, let's just start with amazing news, though. I don't want to start on a negative note with Debo. I want to start with amazing news, and that is Brock frickin' Purdy. I absolutely loved watching this game. And David, I know you were excited. I could feel the energy through the text messages from you, brother. And the fact that you said that you shaved your beard when they went up 35 points is like the most amazing thing I've ever heard. You are clearly excited about watching Brock Purdy play football. Why don't you talk us through that, brother?
Yeah, and I got a full disclosure. So now the last week of the school year before the Christmas break, I'm a high school teacher. And for the last 7 years, this may seem weird, I shave my beard and I go to the mustache and I wear my old Cliff Angle 1970s Niners jacket. And I pretend that I'm time traveling back from the 70s. I'm my dad in college. And his name is Jim, his Uncle Jim. And he subs for me all week. And I stay in character with my colleagues, with my students. I act like I don't know who they are. I've been doing this for 11 years and they haven't fired me yet for it. So like, I wasn't even thinking of that. And I was just sitting here and I realized I'm channeling my dad. I'm channeling my Uncle Jim. My dad is an Iowa State grad. He's texting me, dad, #dad text. And he's like, oh, I'd like to see some more zip on those throws. I said, there's a defender right in his face. What do you want him to do? And we're sitting here going back and forth. And we're just, I'm just giving you shit. It was awesome. I felt like I was back in my basement as a kid watching sports again. I was getting excited. And I realized at that moment that I hadn't been this excited about the Niners for a while. And I'm not even like trying to be overwrought or melodramatic or anything like that. But like, I'm just being real. Like I found myself like in moments like that's what my 49ers fandom has been my whole life since I broke a lamp when Leonard Marshall broke Joe Montana. Like I've been that guy and I found myself that way again. And who am I to question it? So like, regardless of how we're going to get into the minutia and analyze and talk about all these different things. And my expectations were tempered, but I'm not going to lie. Brock came to play today. He played within himself, but he also played beyond himself. And he's the one thing I will say is this kid, I've talked to you about this many times about the quarterback position, not just Brock, anybody. The number one attribute that you need to have, and sometimes it can be tenuous, is confidence. And that's like, sounds like all anecdotal or Dan Campbell-ish or whatever. It's true. It's very true. And I think that like, and I've told my students this too. It's like, you have to have your confidence rooted in something, but if you can somehow also coach yourself or trick yourself to be like, hey, I got confidence in my work ethic. I've prepared. I believe in myself. And if you can transcend what your ceiling maybe should be in the process, like that's gravy. Like that's house money. And I think that right now that's what Brock is doing. And I'm not saying like it's complete roll of the dice. I just think that this kid believes that he should be there. And we're going to talk about this more, you and I, about Brock Purdy. And this is not like Johnny come lately stuff. Like we've got receipts to prove it. Like I never thought Brock Purdy should have been the number one pick in the draft. However, like back in 2021, I thought he was a first round caliber player, because if you really look at quarterbacks that are drafted in the first round, let's be honest, the Kenny Pickett's, right? Like, or the guys who are on the cusp in the second rounds, right? Even your Geno Smith, like your EJ Manuels, things like there's plenty, your Christian Ponders, right? Your Jake Lockers. Like you can't tell me that watching Brock Purdy these last several weeks that you don't think that he has the ability to play at the level of guys that have been drafted in the first round that people thought had traits to do so. And so that's where, I mean, I'm not saying that he's going to be the next Steve Young, Joe Montana, but right now, this team is the best team. And yes, I acknowledge the Philadelphia Eagles. The 49ers are the best team in the NFL. And yeah, they've got some injuries. We'll talk about that later, but I'm geeked and we should be geeked, and it's not lipstick on a pig.
Yeah. And that's just it, is like, it is fun. It's like we're living in the moment, and it's tough because you don't want to knock on Jimmy, right? But I got to be honest, actually, Jimmy's the last one that brought the excitement, because the way things ended in 2017, if anybody says they weren't in love with how the way that season ended when he came, when they started, went 5-0, the excitement of like, oh my gosh, we got something great here. And then 2019, I think, really captured our imaginations of what was possible. It was a great run. And then, last year, I feel like we kind of expected to be that team. This year, the way that it started, Trey going down, the whole infighting with which quarterback's better and this and back and forth and whatever, I think there was just a lot of stress this season. And now that it's Brock Purdy, whether you're a Trey guy or you're a Jimmy guy, those guys aren't playing. So we all have no choice but to just root for this kid. And how do you not root for Brock Purdy? Like, how do you not root for Brock Purdy? The kid is so fun to watch. He clearly is enjoying his time. His parents are in the stands. They're showing them after every big play. His dad, I mean, just as a dad, watching that and how proud he is of his son, his adult son, it's just, I don't know, man. Like, if you can't root for Purdy in this situation,
no, and
you aren't overly excited after watching that performance, then I don't know what to tell you. Like, maybe being a football fan's not for you anymore. You know what I mean?
No, and I think that it's not just the fact that they won in the decisive way that they did, but I look back and there was a couple different plays, but there were three throws to me. There's one where I keep bringing this up, and sometimes I've eschewed this term, but it's called the functional mobility. Like this idea, like, by the way, Brock Purdy has always been a plus athlete. People will say that, oh, he ran a 4.840. That, by the way, a 4.840 isn't like, it's not great. It's not horrible either for a quarterback. It really isn't. I want to impart that on people. Yeah, no, you're not Colin Kaepernick or Trey or Justin Fields or anybody like that, right? But that's 40 speed. And I don't really care about 40 speed for quarterbacks in that regard, unless you're Fields and you're running 80 yards for a touchdown. Like he's a plus athlete, and he has functional mobility. He has good pocket awareness. He's always employed that at Iowa State when he was in college. He'd always had a preternatural disposition for being able to evade pressure. Now, sometimes it would be about that decision-making in that process. Sometimes he has that little gunslinger into him, so maybe he leaves a little bit on the table. But today, that throw where he evaded pressure, sidestepped Joe Tryon. I forget how he hyphenates the defensive end for the Bucs.
Yeah,
he went into the draft as Joe Tryon, and then he's in. So, and I'll due respect, I just can't remember his name. He sidesteps him, just like puts a juke on him, buys himself some time, and hits Debo perfectly layered along the sideline. The other one where he did just simple, but like hitting Juwan Jennings on a similar play. And then, of course, actually, there's four throws.
The two sideline throws. Yeah,
the touchdowns. And this is the thing. People were like, oh, those were, we joked about this, about being underthrown. I mean, to CMC, Like he put that really only where he could get it and a defender couldn't. And CMC almost took that out of Purdy's hands. But then Ayuk, that one at first glance is like, oh, that's underthrown. And you look back, and he had this happen multiple times where he's got a pressure, a rusher in his face, and it's like bang, bang, right? Like rusher in his face. He's throwing the ball, and he can't even follow through because he's already doing the 360 self-preservation pirouette. This kid has ice in his veins, man. And he's going to make mistakes. He threw a pick tonight, right? Like that got taken away by a questionable holding call. I expect that. Like that's not.
And by the way, that's okay. That's okay. Like we should expect that. You know what I mean? And so
especially, and you're up 28-0. And it's like, it's a little bit, it's different than when you're down 17-3 and like you're in the red zone, right? He put the team in position to win, and he played within structure. And he showed athleticism on his quarterback run. He showed people were nitpicking when he threw to Tyler Kroft instead of Kittle. But like the bottom line is Levante David was Levante David was gonna hit him on an angle. And instead of going to Kittle, which he maybe could have, but it wouldn't have been a touchdown, he went to Kroft. And he said, well, he got bailed out by a penalty. Well, yeah, that's what happens. It might have been a touchdown otherwise. So like, honestly, like I could just be nitpicking on his game. I have to look, I go back to the all 22. I'm racking my brain to think of like plays where I thought, you were just so far off base. You just like you got wires crossed. And I didn't really see it that often.
Yeah. And here's the thing is he's playing within the offense, the structure of the offense, because what he's being asked to do, yes, he made some good throws, but he also had a lot of guys running wide open. He's just making the throws that are there. Like he can read the field well. He's making the throws that are there. If he needs to, he can buy himself time. Like he's just playing so well within the structure of the offense. But because of his maneuverability, I feel like he's able to save the offense when the offense doesn't have anything open. If there's nothing there, the running touchdown is a great example. If there was nothing there, he's able to buy time and make something happen out of nothing. And so he's doing all the things that you want a like QB manager to do, but then he's giving you that plus as well, which is huge. It's so fun to watch the kid play, man. Not enough good things to say about Brock Purdy right now. Absolutely love it. Are the numbers incredible? Is he making some like just major rifle throws? No, but he doesn't have to with this team. He doesn't have to. Grow into yourself. And the fact that he's smart enough and good enough to be able to play at this level now while he's growing into comfortability and keeping that swagger going because the team is so good around him, it just bodes well as they reach their peak going into the playoffs and hopefully getting healthy.
Well, and this is the thing, though. We say that he didn't make any rifle throws. He has, like, to me, he's made throws, a la Jimmy in certain situations where you're looking at those quick throws across the middle. But, Akash did put a tweet out, and I had to, like, give my, he's like, that at some point in the game, I think it was after the Ayuk touchdown, the second long one. And it was that he'd had more 20-plus yards outside the numbers in a one half of football.
They posted
than Jimmy has had in 3 years. Now, and that's when, look, I had a Bloody Mary. Like, look, I'm not going to be honest, though. I think here, I'm no slander to Jimmy. And this is what I'm talking about over the past week where I'm like, you can't argue with that. Like, that's not, at some point, that's not fluky, right? Like, at some point, that's not like, what I'm saying is when you look back at the person he's replaced, why does, like, Trey Lance, big time throws, right? Trey Lance quickly eclipsed Jimmy Garoppolo in the same, so we've already seen these two young guys. This should be exciting for 49ers fans. Like, and I'm not saying, like, God bless Jimmy, right? The bottom line is that 49ers fans should feel good about this quarterback room going forward. You've got two 22-year-old, and I'm 40, so I'll say kids, right? I don't want to disrespect these young adults, but you have these 22-year-old kids, right? With intelligence, confidence. Okay. Obviously, Trey is a bigger athlete than Purdy, but still, like, plus athletes.
Yeah.
And the stuff upstairs that it takes to run a Kyle Shanahan scheme. I'm sorry, like coaches would kill for that room. And I think that that's something that going forward, people could say, well, this will be hashed out when it does and whatever. I'm not even going to get into that. Bottom line is this is a good place to be. And I will say this. Yes, it's only 2 weeks. And people might say, oh, this is Matt Flynn vibes. I remember the Matt Flynn. This is not, to me, like this team is good enough. This team is good enough to win with Brock Purdy. And granted, like you said, you watch Tampa all the time. And Tampa's like, they're not the Philly Eagles, right? They're not the Buffalo Bills. And they're also not complete scrubs. It's the GOAT on the other side of that ball. And the defense held tough. The offense did more than necessary. And I'm telling you, they're walking in with swagger right now. They've had it all year, but they got it in spades now. And that's, to me, you can't put a price on that. You cannot. And I'm not big on anecdotal aphorisms and locker room speeches and things. I'm not a meathead guy like that. But like this stuff, like this team really. You tell me a tougher out in the NFL right now. Tell me.
Ooh. There's not many. Philly, maybe, but
yeah. And I respect Philly a lot.
Philly's good. Philly's got one loss, but the Niners right now, I mean, you watch them play to think that they can't beat anybody. That'd be tough to say. That'd be really tough to say and mean it. And the thing is, again, I expected the 49ers to win this game pretty easily. But even then, I didn't think it would be this easy. And the fact that the 49ers are blowing these teams out now that have no business being on the field with them, they're riding a 6-game win streak. Like, this is what teams that are good are supposed to do to teams that aren't good. But they're finally just now getting into that. It's incredible to watch. Absolutely incredible to watch. I know that you said you didn't want to talk about the quarterback thing, but super chats mean that we have to.
I want to talk about it.
Yeah, we can. J.R. Lightborn says, if Brock Purdy keeps playing well, will Trey Lance be on the team in 23? I look at this completely different. If Brock Purdy plays well, it just means that Jimmy and Tom Brady won't be on this team in 2023. That's all that tells me. Now, who's going to start? Is it a competition? There's still so much football to be left before we even think about that. I really do want to live in the moment with what the 49ers are doing. But Brock Purdy playing well just means that they got, to David's point, 2 really good young quarterbacks that are both 22 years old. That's a great quarterback room to have for the next 2-3 years. And we'll see what happens with it. But it means that you don't have to go and pay a big-time quarterback to come in, a name to come in like a Tom Brady, or overpay to keep Jimmy Garoppolo. You just don't need to anymore. So now, not only do you have 2 good young players that you could trust, if one's starting, the other one, he goes out, the other one comes in, you feel good about your situation, but they're inexpensive. They're going to have the cheapest and one of the best quarterback rooms in the NFL from a depth standpoint. Like, it doesn't get much better than that. Now you can go pay your Boses, your Ayuks, and everybody else, keep this team together while these 2 quarterbacks are developing, and let them decide on the field what ends up happening. Like, that's a great problem to have. But to me, no, it doesn't mean that Trey Lance is going anywhere. Trey Lance is under contract. It means that Jimmy Garoppolo is not coming back. That's what it tells me.
And by the way, let's be honest. I think Brock afforded himself very well. I'm very excited about Brock. I'm not going to lie. I'm very excited about him. We've talked about this all week. We're not even this week. Like, this is the thing that Jesse made a great video about. We've talked, and I respect this comment. I really do. I'm befuddled about why people have been so tepid on Trey Lance based on just like his body of work. He's like, oh, it's been small. His body of work's actually been good. Like, this is the thing. This is the thing that's confusing to me. And I think what Kyle Shanahan, you'll see, like, when, there's another conversation we'll probably have about where you and I might even disagree a little bit or agree on certain things with Debo, right? Kyle likes to use he's a sucker for, if he's got a toy, he wants to use it. You know what I mean? And so people say, well, why didn't he do this game plan? Okay, he was in the monsoon in Chicago. And by the way, Trey did throw in that game. People forgot that because it's been week 1. They have short-term memory. He did. Seattle, he got hurt quick. And, it's early in the year. Kyle's playing with house money. I talked to you about this last week. I talked to Ryan Hensley on the show on Friday. Like, I honestly think, Kyle, this might be maybe the best. I say the best thing that happened to Kyle, the quarterback, but it's like he's like, fuck it. What am I going to do? Get Josh Johnson at backup? Like, let's go. Let's play. And I think, like, in a lot of ways, I think Kyle's just kind of rolling up his sleeves
Coaching
and saying,
free.
Yeah. Seriously.
Yeah.
He's like, well, nobody expects us to do anything. But I've got the number one defense. I've got an offensive line that's been a lot better in pass protection than anybody gives them credit for. I've got skill position players. Hopefully Debo's coming back sooner than later.
Right.
I've got, but like, and it's dictating what he does. But so it's the question about trade. Look, I will not say this. I think that if Brock Purdy continues to play, and by the way, it was unfair to Brock today, like, because he played out of his mind the first half, and then Kyle rightfully and thankfully pumped the brakes and said, we're going to play conservative because we're up 35-0, right? Like, after the CMC touchdown, there's no reason, like, the foot has been on the throat, right? Like, you don't need to win 56-0. Okay. And I was thankful that he didn't put Purdy in a position where he had to drop back much more after that. But I got based on what he was playing, there's no reason he couldn't have kept playing in that clip. He's not going to be making touchdowns down the field, but this quarterback room is going to be solid. It's going to be young. It's going to be confident. It's going to be athletic. It's going to be savvy. And it's going to be paired still with the best defense in the NFL. I can't wait.
Yeah. And I think not only for Kyle, but the team, right? Because what happens is I think that this is just a great scenario for the team and Kyle, because you talked about the Kyle playing free and how it's good for him, or coaching free. I think for the team, they're not going to play free. They have an expectation of what they want to do. And so now they're looking at us saying, okay, we got this rookie quarterback. We're down to our third string. That means that the rest of us have to play perfect football. The rest of us have to be on our A game, snap in and snap out. And so you've got a group of veterans that really want to win. They do believe in this kid, but they also know that he's a rookie quarterback doing this for the first time. He is the third string quarterback, regardless of how you want to slice it. And so they're going to rally around that. Like, doesn't matter. Like, as long as we do what we need to do, then this kid's going to be fine. We have to hold up our end of the bargain. And so I think the team has that chip on their shoulder as well. And it's just a perfect mix. And then you've got Brock Purdy, who is doing his job, playing very, very confident. I just, you know what I mean? It's absolutely incredible. Absolutely. I love it. Absolutely love it.
And lost in this is, like, CMC had 2 massive touchdowns today. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And he just displayed why this team is so special with him. Like, I think we forget. I think maybe, I'm not saying you and I, but I do. Like, I think I've taken CMC for granted a little bit. Like, we talked about how much he's going to open things up. Well, if Debo's up for any stretch of time, this could be the CMC Ayuk show. And CMC today, like, running that route down the sideline. And I can't remember who the defender was on that. I have to go back and look. But then the counter there, where I had just tweeted, I said, hey, I thought CMC had, I said, well, can we stop? I said up 30, I said up 28 zip. I think we can run it on first down, and they just passed it. So 2nd and 10, he's running, which I usually am like, oh, why are we running on 2nd and 10? And of course, CMC takes it to the house. Right. And this is the type of thing where this offense is dangerous. Like, the fact that you can do that on 2nd and 10, guys, like, and this is where Kyle's just getting started. I know that sounds like a homerish take, but I think Kyle's now, he's like, okay, I'm going back to lab every week, because he's like, I got these new computations, and I got Brock, and I was like, and I have Debo. It's like, okay, all right, bet. Like, let's see what we can, and thankfully, knock on wood, right? This offensive line has stayed healthy, right? That, to me, that is and as long as that staying healthy, the offensive line staying healthy, and defense, by and large, out of Ken Law and Armstead's back there, like, they've stayed healthy too. And it bodes well. It bodes well. And I think Kyle's up for the challenge. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Jesus says Kyle still has PTSD from losing the lead to Brady in the Super Bowl. I think that's why the starters were playing late in that game. Yeah, I think also you just only have so much depth. You can't remove every starter. Like, you just don't have the depth to do that. And so you've got to pick and choose. And as that game wore on, I thought he did actually do a good job of removing players as he could, but you just can't remove everybody. And you're right. I mean, it's not that Brady did that to anybody. He did that to Kyle and company. So Kyle, I'm sure maybe he wasn't maybe so worried about them coming back, but more so like, yeah, I owe this guy one. Like, let me step on his throat a little bit. I think there's some of that in there, and I no problem with that. Flav says Purdy is showing what we all hope Trey would show. Hell, if Trey was half as sound as Purdy has been, everyone would have been on board. At Seattle will be his biggest test, but thank God for Purdy. Flav, I mean, just 3 weeks ago, you were saying thank God for Jimmy. It just, to me, just being real with your brother, it sounds like anybody that's not Trey, you're cool with. That's the vibe I get from you. As long as somebody's playing good and it's not Trey, like you're feeling great about the situation. So that's how you come off, man. NG49 says, say what we want. Kyle can make most quarterbacks work. Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, we've seen some really bad quarterbacks not work. I mean, excuse me, really bad quarterbacks work. Obviously, they eventually fell off because of whatever, but I mean, Nick Mullins, anybody? The one of the best 16 game starts to a career. I think we all know what Nick Mullins is. Nick Mullins is fine, but he's not anywhere near a starting level quarterback in this league. So yes, Kyle does do a good job with his quarterbacks. I don't think there's any denying that for sure. David says, I think we're seeing Kyle relearn how to call plays with a quarterback who can pass everywhere on the field. This is incredible right now. I agree, man. It is incredible. I absolutely love it. And yeah, dude, this is awesome. It's really awesome. All right. Debo injury. We do got to talk about it. Luckily, we're going to come at it from a standpoint that is a good standpoint because it does sound like he avoided a major injury. Sounds like it's an ankle and not the knee. That's good.
Yep.
The severity, we do not know. But all the early reports that are coming out so far is that he's avoided a major injury. Now, that also, to be fair, doesn't mean that he won't miss significant time, right? Like Jimmy just avoided a major injury, but he still got a 3-month rehab on his hands, right? Liz Frank would have been who knows how long. So he doesn't have a major injury, but he's still not able to play for the rest of the season. We don't know where Debo stands. How did you feel about the Debo injury when it happened, David? You and I went back and forth a little bit. I was frustrated with the play call just because they were up 21-0. And Mason at that point had not touched the ball. And I think it's weird because when I tweeted out, why not Mason in that situation? People look at it and they say, well, you're only up 21-0. It's the second quarter. You can't just take your foot off the gas. And I'm like, hold on a second. Mason is a kid who's averaging 5.4 yards a carry.
Yeah.
Why is that taking your foot off the gas? It's just having your actual running back who's a bruiser run the ball instead of Debo Samuel in that situation. That's all I was trying to say. So I was frustrated with Kyle in that situation. That's just me personally. Not going to make a huge deal out of it, but I do think that we've seen these situations where I feel like Kyle is a little bit negligent from time to time with some of his top tier players.
Yeah, no, and I like this is the thing. Like me and Jesse, like we're close, right? We don't know, and I totally this is the thing. I respect where Jesse's coming from on this. I even see it. I agree with Jesse in a lot of ways on this, and where I disagree a little bit here is that I think that when Debo uses the ball, wherever he uses the ball, part of that also isn't like is that misdirection of like confusing defenses of how he's using it and when he's using it. And so he does use it in different places. I do understand. Like it is frustrating though when you have like Jordan Mason come out and then just beast people against ones, and then be like, okay, that could have been Jordan Mason, right? I also have seen Debo fight for extra yardage along the sideline with not only DBs, but like last week, he literally tried to bulldoze Christian Wilkins, like in certain situations where there are safeties that were sandwiching him as well. And they'd already sandwiched him, and he's still torquing his body and twisting his hips and knees to try to, and so like Debo plays a violent brand of ball. He's going to try to fight for every last centimeter, right? And so, me, Jesse knows me, I'm not a homer. Like I'll critique Kyle or I'll say, and I could be very wrong when I'm doing that. Who knows? But like, I'm still going to speak my piece. I think in that situation, kind of alluded to this before though, right? Kyle's a sucker to use his toys. And I've also said, and I'm not digging my heels in, like on Friday, I was on Ryan Hensley's show, our guy Ryan, and I was talking about how I want to see Debo get more touches creatively. I didn't say like I want Debo between the tackles on 2nd and 4 or whatever it was, but like, I wanted to see that. And I think the team has confidence when the ball's in his hands. And so 21-0, Brock Purdy balling out, and Brock Purdy's Mr. Irrelevant. Brock Purdy's a 3rd string quarterback for a reason, but can still transcend that. Sure. And I think Kyle's mindset is, I want before, this is Tom Brady. You talked about the 28-3 ghosts against the Falcons with Brady on the other side. He's like, right. I'm going to put this away. And I trust Debo, and Debo wants the ball, and Debo doesn't mind the ball in these situations. And it sucks that he got hurt. No doubt about it. I did see I thought when he got hurt, watching the replays, it was, as somebody who's been injured many different ways, like just because you don't see like the knee, like compound through the thigh, that doesn't mean you don't have a knee injury, but like it did look like his ankle got rolled up really bad. So he's on the ground and he's kind of grabbing at his leg. But when you have an ankle like that, sometimes shoots stuff way up and like even into your hips. And so I would say, like, I'm no expert, but I'm not surprised that that they said knee ankle, because it sure as shit looked like an ankle at first blush, like when I'm sitting there watching it on replay. Now that's not Trey Lance broke his ankle, right? Jimmy Garoppolo just broke his foot. Like that's not always, and a high ankle sprain could still put you out for at least a month, Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
for
like, sure. But for him, regardless of how long he's long, if it's not a knee injury, that's much better prognosis for him and his health. And his health is more important than the 49ers outlook. And so my thing is, I hope he's going to be coming back. He's a tough dude. He gets dinged up. That's the way he plays ball. But I hear where I hear where you're coming from, brother. And I just think that it's part of ball.
I get it. And Jed says, hey, I saw Hurts run up the middle today, up 22, design QB run. Come on, it's football. Here's the thing. I get it, but I would say that's probably not a good idea either.
Yeah.
Just because he did it and didn't get hurt doesn't mean no, that's not a good idea either. I wouldn't do that.
No,
I just, like, you know what I mean? Like, just because the outcome was different, it doesn't mean that I changed my opinion. I also wouldn't run Hurts up the middle, up 22. Wouldn't be something I would do. I wouldn't feel great about it. That's me personally.
Same thing I told the dude early in the game, when it's like a nice guy, good guy, Steven, like we mutual followers, and we just shooting the shit on Twitter. And he's like, hey, I said, hey, it's time to pull Brock. It's like the last minute of the third quarter. You're up 35-7. And he's like, oh, it's too early for that. And I said, what do you mean? Said, well, what do you want to pull all the starters? I'm like, guys, like all these guys are human beings on the same level. But in the context of Brock Purdy is your last viable quarterback. Yeah, not all
literally the last option. Yeah.
No, not all positions are created equal, right? So it's like this idea that, so I'm with you. Like, and the Eagles ended up winning that game like 48-22. I mean, it was, or something like that, some ridiculous score like that. So no, it's not. It doesn't. Not every coach's decision is gospel. Not every coach's decision is smart. And so I'm with you. I put it this way. I see exactly where you're coming from, Jesse. And in many ways, I do agree with you. And then on the other side, I'm also saying, like, I feel like I've seen plays where the Niners have capitalized in those situations and we're like going gaga over it. And I think, though, you're right. The context does matter of like, why did it take 4 quarters until you feed Jordan Mason to football? Especially when you want to protect your investments like CMC, and you want to, and you've got to like make your job easier, like platoon. And they didn't platoon running back at all till late.
Yeah. Well, and that's just it. Like earlier in the game when they were on the goal line and they ran CMC up the middle, I tweeted out, oh, I mean, that seems like a good time to run a 230-pound running back. Like, why? And also CMC getting as many touches as he was. Just Mix in Mason. That's all I'm asking. These guys are both so important. Debo's so important. CMC so important. Brock Purdy at this point is so important. Just health overall for this run down the stretch is so important. And I think Mason is also good. It's not just about conserving these guys. It's just about also getting a good player in the game. What has Mason done other than come in and look amazing with his small sample size? So let's get him some more touches. Why not?
I wouldn't have been. Was TDP active today?
I don't think so. I think Coleman was the third back.
Yeah, and I'm beyond that, right? But I'm also confused because I had rumblings and talked to people that said that Anthony Lynn loved like capital, like all caps, loves TDP. Mm-hmm. And, so like, and had been having a better, so yeah, it's, I think in this time of year, every game matters. And I think Kyle's in that position right now. And it's like, well, no, I want to put every game away and I want to ice every game. But I think that you also, when you have the best defense in the NFL, and yes, I know he's been 28.5, but like it's the Atlanta Falcons didn't have the 49ers defense, right? Like, no. And so, and you know what? So to speak of it, it's a little off topic, but that defense, man, they did not want to give up that touchdown, and they almost didn't. You know what I mean? Like it was like
they really did not want to give that up.
And
you're
that's
right.
So impressive, man. Like this defense, as much as I'd said, like, and there's certain plays that they sometimes give up some opportunities, but man, these guys are like, they like want it with every fiber in their being. And that's what makes this team special. That's why I say this is the best team in the NFL. Like, I think the Eagles are great. I really do, actually. I think the Niners team is different. And so, yeah, I hope Debo can come back. I really do, because I want him to be a part of this team. I think they can make some noise in the playoffs. And I hope he's I'm crossing my fingers that he can be back by then, by the playoff run.
And I don't know if you saw it, but Jerry Rice ripped Shanahan for the injury.
Oh, okay.
So I did forget about that. It was on his Instagram. Let me see. He said, "Please stop running our skill players up the middle at Trey Lance, at Jimmy Garoppolo, at 19 problems, all hurt." That was from Jerry Rice.
At Jimmy Garoppolo got.
Yeah, the Jimmy Garoppolo one was weird. That wasn't. I don't know. Whatever. He wasn't ran up the middle, but
this is why, like, honestly, I've gone through all these, like, how many stages of grief there are with my childhood heroes, like saying things like was Joe Montana or Steve Young vacillating between like whomever is the flavor of the week, and Steve's like a smart dude and a great guy, but like it gets to the point where sometimes I'm like, God,
come on,
just let. We're all blowing off steam. It's funny because these dudes, though, I have to say, like, these guys are goats, clearly, but they're fans, man. Like, they don't think anything's owed to them. It's just like this idea, like they love this team. And so
they really do that. I love that right there. Cause you're exactly right. You've got the greatest wide receiver, arguably the greatest football player of all time. You've got Steve Young, one of the best quarterbacks of all time, top 10. And both these guys are just genuine fans of the team. It's so funny to watch. And I love it. I absolutely love it that they support the team the way that they do, for sure.
Yeah.
Twisted Clown says, like seeing Purdy just play and gunsling. Hopefully Kyle can use Mason more. Yep. And Debo less at running back. Well, I think that decision might be made for him. Debo's probably going to be out for a little bit. And then the Paul Heyman. Listen, I can't do a Paul Heyman voice.
I can.
Oh, okay. Let's do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman. And from Iowa State University, Mr. Irrelevant, Brock Purdy.
Yeah, yes. Twisted, you chose the perfect guest to do that with, because I don't think anybody else would have been able to do that. That was incredible.
My wife just like opened the door. We've got this sliding door that's a partition to our other part of our house, and she just like, she knows my son and I are huge WWE fans. We all have matching Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman shirts, and she just opened the door and just looked at me like, "What in the hell was that?"
Just so you know, you might end up in a psych ward at the end of the night. She's just watched her husband shave his beard and then do a Paul Heyman voice. I'm just throwing it out there.
And tomorrow I go on, like I said, I go to work and I pretend to be my dad from the 70s, like all week long. So like it is, yeah. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a strange bird, dude.
Yeah, I feel it. Flav says, you're not entirely wrong. I was very vocal about Purdy being better than Lance in the preseason, and everyone said I was nuts. But I just wanted a sound QB. Luckily, we had two of those on the roster this year. Hey, I mean, listen, if that's how you feel, like I don't mind difference of opinion, Flav. And I think I said this in a chat with you through my YouTube. Just call it what it is. Like this whole act that you've liked Trey Lance up to that, like it was always prefaced with, but I like Lance. It's like, brother, you don't like Lance. Like just stop. Just
No,
stop. Like it's okay. You don't like Lance. So don't say that you like Lance if you don't like him. There's just no reason to say it. Because everything that you say is otherwise. So, that's fine. That's totally fine.
And by the way, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, no, do it. Go ahead.
I don't understand like this again. Where's this narrative that Trey Lance isn't sound? Like we talked about this all week, and I had people like like, oh, you can't talk about. I'm like, I don't understand like what ball we've been watching. Like, you guys watch the all 22 at all? Like, it's available. Like, is it like not like I don't get it? Are we just box score scouting? Because even then, like, I don't understand what the sound like. Trey Lance is asked to do different things because he can. We've talked about this. So, like, if Trey Lance was limited physically, then he could run this offense in the way that Jimmy runs it. But because he has other skills that open up this offense, which has opened up this offense, I don't know. Like, so I like Brock and I like Trey. And I'm excited for them to both be in the same quarterback room together. I don't understand like why those like worlds. I think those worlds need to collide more often.
Yeah, absolutely. Daryl says second game with Purdy over 30 points. Yes, sir. That is a fact. And then, please tell me this isn't like a serious injury. He says Purdy has a hurt oblique. Josh Johnson time. Golly, please, God, no. I think Purdy will probably be fine.
Now I got to go grab my phone because you got me scared. Hold on.
No. I think, hold on a second. I think he's fine. He jumped in the stands after the game to greet his family. I think he probably did get a little nicked up. I mean, he got hammered in a couple of those hits. So, yeah. And I'm not seeing anything anywhere that says Brock Purdy's like seriously hurt. So I think we're okay. We're totally fine. We're good. All right. Quit trying to scare us, David. Gosh darn it. Flav says, Jess, I literally told you that if Lance proved me wrong, I would buy his jersey. I don't dislike him as a person. And that's fair. I'm not saying as a person. I'm not trying to like make it a personal thing. You just don't like him as a player. I just never thought he was good. Okay, that's fine. All right. Let's get into some of the other things that are happening that are very pertinent to this team. Seattle losing and the Vikings losing. So let's just lay this scenario out. The 49ers on Thursday play Seattle. If they win that game, they clinch the division. It's over. Yep. Division winners. If they lose that game, because Seattle lost today, they are still leading the division by one game in the loss column. So great place for the 49ers to be. Yes, it's going to be traveling to Seattle. By the way, Seattle's defense is really bad. Somebody said, I think it was Flav actually said that this will be the biggest test for Brock is against Seattle. I don't think so. I don't think their defense is any good. I think Brock's going to be just fine in that game. I think the offense is going to be fine. I think it might be a bigger test for the defense because the offense is doing well. But, I think for Brock and this offense, they're going to be fine. Seattle's defense has been atrocious. Yeah. But anyways, Thursday, they travel to Seattle. They win that game. They win the division. If they lose, they are still leading the division and have a chance to win it as long as they essentially can keep that one game lead against Seattle. So great spot to be. And then the Vikings lost to a division foe in the Detroit Lions. By the way, Detroit Lions post game will be on a little bit after this show with my counterpart, Rad. They're going to be going crazy, I'm sure, talking about their win over the Vikings and their chances of possibly making the playoffs. But The Vikings now only have a 1-game lead in the loss column with the 49ers. Now, I haven't broken it down as far as, where the losses are coming from, NFC teams, AFC teams, what have you. But all of a sudden, this big lead that the Vikings had coming down the stretch here for that number 2 seed is starting to dwindle a little bit. And the 49ers not only are in the driver's seat for their division, but brother, they might get the 2nd seed overall. Like, this is kind of wild. Yeah.
Yeah. The Vikings they swept the AFC East. So all those losses are in the NFC. And so the, I believe, they beat the Jets at home. They beat the Pats at home. They beat the Bills in Buffalo, and they beat Miami without Tua with Teddy Two Gloves. So like the Vikings. I know there's been a lot of teams that have talked about this idea that that the Vikings were frauds. They said, well, the Vikings have weapons, but no, the Vikings truly are frauds. Like, and this is a thing where, and I mean that actually respectfully in a way, because I do still look at the Vikings as they're implementing this new offense. I know that sounds like a stupid excuse, and I believe it is too, but yet you do have Kirk, who is a more than serviceable quarterback. You have Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, you have Dalvin Cook, you have Christian Darrisaw and Brian O'Neill at tackles. Like, they're not and today, honestly, offensively,
Darrisaw was out today.
Right. They didn't play that badly offensively. They just didn't capitalize in a certain situation. Their defense sucks. Their defense is horrible. And everybody was talking about, Patrick Peterson and his renaissance. It doesn't have a renaissance.
Still old,
It's the same thing here. This is going to be Niners fans getting a little bit in their feelings. But Richard Sherman, by the way, Super Bowl year, Richard Sherman got insulated because people were going after Witherspoon a lot. And so people kind of like lost the fact that like they think that Richard Sherman had a better year in 2019 than he actually did. And that's exactly what happened to Patrick Peterson this year too. The secondary is really bad. Jonathan Vilma went off and said like, they're giving up yards because they're always playing with a lead, and defense that their opposing teams are always passing the ball. It's not true at all. I watch a lot of I live in Minnesota. Vikings fans, their point differential is almost negative again. It is, and it's been in their last 5 games. I think they're like 4-1 or 4, and they have like a negative 28 point differential. It's ridiculous. So yeah, the Vikings are going to lose more games. Their luck is going to run out. And the Niners are going to go into Seattle. They're going to win. The bottom line is that it's a short week, right? And so both teams have to play on a short week. Yes, they're on the road, but it's on the West Coast, so that's good. I don't know what the weather is going to look like, but yeah, like on paper, they're both playing on a short week. Neither team is coming off a bye. I believe very strongly that the 49ers have the blueprint to do very well against the Seahawks. I think they match up incredibly well against the Seahawks and the way that it's written up. And then they'll have a long week to get healthy and get ready to go against the Commanders on Christmas Eve, where I'm going to be. And I honestly think that this is the game where they clinch that division on Thursday night. And if they can do that, when they do that, they're going to be in a spot where, no, they're not going to take their foot off the gas pedal, but it does afford them the opportunity to be prudent about certain things, because the NFC South is in a tailspin. So the worst they can do is a 3 seed. And if the Vikings keep losing, that's what's going to give the carrot on the stick for the Niners to get that 2, because I think it's too much to ask to probably catch up with the Eagles, because they only have about 1 loss.
Yeah, they're not.
And the weeks are running out, right? And the bottom line is that, the Eagles could get play the Cowboys or do
the Eagles would have to go 1-3,
right,
for them to even have a shot.
And then there'd be a tie, and the Niners have to win out. And could that happen? Yeah, it's not going to, right? So but to get that number 2, no, you don't get a bye, but you don't have to face the Eagles worst case until the NFC Championship game.
Yeah.
And then you might not face them at all. You're at home for the NFC. So this is a big game. And I think that Kyle wasn't lost on Kyle. And I think this Thursday, and then that Christmas Eve game is going to have huge ramifications. So I think that it's an exciting time. It's an exciting time to be a Niners fan. And I think that, by the way, them and the Eagles are the cream of the NFC.
I agree.
And I think those are the teams you're going to see. And I think it's going to be an NFC Championship game in Philadelphia with the San Francisco 49ers, with Brock Purdy at quarterback. And it's going to be it's going to be interesting.
It'll be super fun. Yeah. And the thing is that there's also an outside chance, because it is a division game, and I've talked about this now since last week, but Dallas will most likely end up playing Philadelphia in round 2. That's a division game.
Yep.
If Dallas somehow comes out of that, it's Dallas in San Francisco for the NFC Championship potentially.
I love that.
Is what we're
Love
talking
that.
about.
My childhood.
Yeah. Great, right? And I like that matchup better than I like Philly. So there's a lot of things that could fall the 49ers' way. I want to get, and I agree with you, I want to get through this super chat because there is one that is pertaining to Debo's injury that I certainly want to get to. But I agree with you. I think the 49ers are going to win the division. To me, Seattle has just been playing above their head all season, and they're just now coming back to the pack and doing what we kind of expected them to do. They've had a good season. Kudos to them. Still might sneak into the playoffs depending on how things fall. But Seattle should not have been this good. And they've played above their head. And now they're just starting to come back a little bit. And I think the 49ers are playing the way that we expected them to. Seattle playing the way that we expected them to. I think they're on a collision course for the 49ers to just probably win that game going away too. So J-Mad says, I live in SoCal. Fox switched the coverage halfway through the third quarter. What the F is that? Luckily, I live in Tampa, and they did not do that. So I did hear about that, though. That's super messed up. Here it is, Debo Samuel news. So Jesus says, Kyle told the reporters that wide receiver Debo Samuel most likely suffered a high ankle sprain. If the MRI confirms that, generally 4 to 6 weeks. Well, let's look at this timeline for a second. 5 weeks would put them at the wild card round. So that would put him right in the middle of that 4 to 6 week injury. That's probably what we're hoping for is can he make it back for the wild card round?
That's because 4 weeks from now would be 2 weeks from now is the Commanders game. That's week 16. Then you got the Raiders and the Cardinals. So that's the 4 weeks, right?
Yep.
And so the 5 weeks would be, but that's the 5 weeks, right? That's best 4 week. We're saying it's 4 to 6, but that -6 means something.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
And a high ankle sprains, people are like, I want to tell people like, somebody who's going to coach worked with lots of different athletes in different sports, like high ankle sprains. Yeah, it's like, oh, you didn't break anything. Oh, you didn't tear your ACL. Like honestly, high ankle sprains hurt like a bitch. Like they do. They're painful. That you can't do anything. Like it's really, it feels like it feels worse than injuries that are worse. Let's put it that way.
It really does. Yeah.
So that's sometimes what matters for an athlete. Like you can say whatever you want to do, but like I think best case scenario, he's back for early playoffs.
Yeah, and that's all I'm hoping for. At this point, I don't care if he plays in the regular season, just get him back. And that, by the way, the fact that he has a chance to be back for the wild card round,
yes,
based off of the way we saw him leave the field, holy crap. Like we got to be counting our lucky stars here. Because that did not look at all like that was going to be the case.
No, and I think that's where it's good to just kind of take a breath and see what's happening. But you can't fault anybody for getting their feelings a little bit about something like that. Because I will say this though, I made some comment about how I was so geeked because after he got hurt, it was still like 35 to zip, right? It was 21 to zip when it happened. It was 35 to zip at one point. And we're all celebrating. Somebody's like, oh, how can you be this excited when Debo got hurt? I'm like, I feel for Debo a lot. Like you saw him, the man was bawling.
Yeah.
Like you can see how much this means to these people. And he wants to be out there with his brothers, like no doubt about it. And I will say this. He's going to be back. This team's going to be in the playoffs. And this team actually is built to people could say like, this is why I say the Niners are the best team in the NFL. They're built to absorb this. Like the 49ers actually can survive this.
Yeah.
And people don't want to admit it. Like they can. And like Jesse said, it's going to force you to maybe use Jordan Mason more. Maybe activate TDP and like see if you need him as in a running back spot. Maybe I don't want Ayuk out of the backfield anymore, like Debo.
No,
but Ayuk can be out of the backfield in creative looks,
sure.
like Debo got early in the game when he scored on that touchdown. Ayuk has done that. Okay, he did that the first week of the season against the Bears. He did that on the very first play. So like the bottom line is, this team is ready. This team is still ready to go. Yet, but they can't if. That's the one guy I will say this. You lose Ayuk now, like you were saying about, We talk about OBJ, or you talk about it, like if you lose Ayuk now, I don't care what John Jennings is a dog, but yada yada yada. You're really going to struggle.
Oh, 100%. 100%. What's crazy though is you think about it, and you said this team is built to withstand that, and I completely agree. Shit, David, they have a chance here to go be on a 10-game winning streak entering the playoffs. Like, just put that in perspective for a second. A 10-game winning streak entering the playoffs.
Yep.
I mean, if they had to play the first week of the playoffs without Debo, I'm still picking them. Like, I'm picking them in that wild card round, and then that puts him at 6 weeks, and then Debo's probably for sure back. Like, if he was close, then there's, you know what I mean? So I feel really good about where the 49ers are at right now. Sans Debo Samuel being injured long term. This is great news.
Remember when we talked about the meat of their schedule going through? And Seattle, hey, by the way, I did say they are going to win this week, and I feel very strongly about that. It's still a short week. And as a guy who bets on, just for fun with some of my friends, like, you know, I'm not losing my house over it or anything like that. But like, Thursday night games are weird. They can be weird. And so, but that being said, you got Seattle who's reeling right now. The Niners are a much better team than the Seahawks. Sorry. You get the Commanders, who are a decent defense. And by the way, Taylor Heineke scares me not a bit. Okay. Then you've got Derek Carr, who, if anybody watched the Rams Raiders game, I apologize. Okay. Derek Carr, bless his heart, threw the worst throw I've ever seen in NFL history, and I've had his back. Then you've got Arizona Cardinals with like just whatever's going on in Kingsbury land. Like, this is not a super hard schedule to end the season. It really isn't for the Niners. The Niners are going to be favored dramatically in all of these games.
For sure.
Okay. They can win out. They should win out. And so like, that's where I'm saying, like, the Niners are built for this.
Yeah.
And
they most definitely are.
I was going to ask you this. What player, we've been talking this whole time, we haven't even mentioned him, was virtually early in the game, but virtually invisible? It's like, I feel like over the last several weeks has become just like, dare I say, an afterthought, but it's like because he's doing these other things. But you know what I'm talking about offensively.
I mean, Kittle.
Yeah.
You're right. He hasn't. I mean, today he started out with the first 3 catches, which, by the way, they've done that. They did that against Carolina, and then he fumbled and was an afterthought. But he was an afterthought the rest of the game. Yeah. Kittle.
And this is the thing.
It's still. I swear, David, on everything you said that, and he's such an afterthought. I almost forgot he was on the roster. It's crazy.
We're talking about probably if you were to ask most fans and you were to say who's your favorite 49er, like, if you, I believe very strongly in this. It's anecdotal. I believe George Kittle would end up being that guy just because of his effusive personality, his physical style of play. Look, I don't want George to get hurt, but Kyle could lean on George too. Kittle is a weapon. You've talked about this, Jesse. You have talked about this. He isn't like, when he came out of the draft in 2017. I ran the mock draft for the community mock draft for Niners Nation with Kyle Posey years and years ago. And I remember I mocked him in the 4th round of the Bears. And I said, this is the steal of the draft. And people were like, why? Well, you trying to be cute, you know, but like, I'm telling you, like, so, and when he was in there, it was like his athletic profile numbers then, like, this is who he is. And it does seem weird to me why. And maybe it's a testament to who the 49ers are, like, just with their depth right now. But George is not swear on your show, Jesse. I mean, he's a weapon. He's a ridiculous weapon, and he needs to be used. And if Debo is going to be out throughout, this is the time. This is the time to get creative with George too, and he can do that. And yeah, he drops some balls every now. I don't care, man. Like this is a guy that you need to unleash. It's time, and I'm excited because I think Kyle's going to be like, all right, who's up next? Let's do this. I want to show everybody I'm coach of the year, and it's going to be a unanimous decision. That's what Kyle wants right now. Kittle
fantasy owners just got really excited, David. I think you gave them a new lease on life. If you've made your fantasy football playoffs and you have George Kittle, you should be very excited right now.
You could flex him.
J Mad says they switched the coverage. So he was the one that said they switched the coverage in the third quarter over to the Seahawks and Panthers. Well, the silver lining, J Mad, is that you got to watch the Seahawks lose. So was it really that bad? I don't think it was really that bad. Could have been worse. David says Niners defense has allowed only 11 touchdowns and have 13 interceptions so far. Wow. 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 I agree with you, man. That's you actually, if you didn't run out of characters, you probably could have thrown in a few more wows. Twisted Clown says, 1 seed. Come on, guys. We aren't Lions fans. Sorry, Rad.
Hey, we're realistic.
To be fair. But hey, the Lions outside shot at making it here, and somebody said it. I'm sorry, I was just trying to catch up in the chat, but somebody did say either the Seahawks game or the Commanders game. Those might be playoff previews for round 1. There's a good chance that they play either one of those teams.
Well, the Lions aren't. They say outside chance. They're 6-7.
I know they got a shot.
This is 18 weeks. 18 week, it's 17 game season, but like they can easily. I'm not looking at their schedule. They could go 9-8. You know what I mean? Like and by the way, I have to say, like,
if we beat Seattle and Washington for them, that really helps them out. We're actually helping out the Lions. At this point.
And the Giants just got donkey stomped today. The Giants are bigger frauds than the Lions. I'll tell you this right now: the Lions are better than the Giants.
Oh, I agree.
And the Lions beat the Giants, right? Like so, like these ideas and handily. So, I will not be surprised at all if the Lions not just back in, but like actually like claw into that 7th spot. And I will say this about the Lions: I give Dan Campbell a lot of crap, and I still do because I still think he can't manage the clock, and he's been I'll tell you what Dan Campbell did. He put people around him like Ben Johnson, an offensive coordinator, Deuce Staley, different player, and Jared Goff. Ben Johnson, his OC, has got Jared Goff playing the best football of his entire career. And he's really playing well. He's playing well. And last year I was on record without no hyperbole that Jared Goff was, to me, the worst quarterback I saw play consistently throughout the NFL every week in and week out. And the fact that's a testimony, testament to coaching. And so I'm kind of excited to watch. I also have Goff and Amon-Ra St. Brown stacked in one of my fantasy leagues. So I'm watching the Lions a lot. And I have to say, they have not disappointed me in weeks. And so I fully expect them. They're dangerous, man. This team is, I wouldn't want to. The Niners, I'm not afraid of playing them, but if I'm another team in the NFL,
if I'm for sure, if they sneak in as a 7th seed and we're the 2 seed and we don't have Debo, I think we win that game, but I would rather not play them. I'd much rather play Washington or New York or Seattle. No doubt about it. If I have my choice of the 4 teams, the Lions are down on the bottom of that list, in my opinion.
For sure.
So, all right, y'all. Listen, you got a Sunday night game to watch. I appreciate y'all checking in. David, the only question is Thursday. We have a game in another 4 days. Are you going to be able to do a post game then, or?
Brother, I'm going to do, If I'm going to be, I want to be I just got to figure out where we're going to be. We're flying into SFO on Thursday.
Okay.
Hopefully the flight doesn't get delayed with winter weather, but we're driving down to, they've got Highway 1 on Big Sur closed down right now for precautions for mudslides. So we're going to avoid that, but we're going to make our way south towards Palm Springs. We're going to stay at our friends in Thousand Oaks. So I think I'm going to be in Paso Robles, maybe Morro Bay Thursday night. I'm going to watch that game. I'm going to be here for post game, baby. We're going to do it on the road.
Absolutely. Love it. All right, y'all. Stay blessed. I'll be back Tuesday, I think, with Sunil. This is going to be a jam-packed week. 4 more days. We play again. Let's go Niners.